All right, let's open the pages of one of the world's greatest literary treasures, Ferdowsi's Shahnameh, also known as the Book of Kings. Now, for over 1,000 years, this single epic poem has been the absolute bedrock of a culture, a language, and an entire national identity. At its heart, the Shahnameh is just this universe of stories, and it's populated by an absolutely staggering cast. I mean, we're talking about more than 2,000 distinct characters. You've got primordial kings, monstrous demons, the greatest heroes you can imagine, and some of the most cunning villains ever put to paper. So, with a character list that honestly dwarfs most modern fantasy series, the big question is, where do you even begin? How can anyone possibly make sense of a story this colossal? Well, the genius of the Shahnameh is that it kind of gives you its own map. See, the entire epic is brilliantly structured into 3 distinct ages, and each one has its own vibe, its own rules, and of course, its own unforgettable characters. So, let's start our journey. Our journey kicks off at the very dawn of time, in what's known as the Mythical Age. This is the realm of creation myths, the very first kings of Iran, and this foundational cosmic struggle between the forces of absolute good and pure, unadulterated evil. This first age basically charts the rise and fall of civilization itself. We start with Kayumars, who's the first man and the first king. We get to witness the incredible golden age of Jamshid. Then we have to endure the dark tyranny of Zahak. And finally, we see order restored by the hero king Feridun. And really, this era is all about a stark conflict. On one side, you have Jamshid, the perfect symbol of a prosperous, ideal ruler. And on the other side, you've got Zahak, who is a figure of pure terror, a demonic usurper with actual serpents growing out of his shoulders that had to be fed the brains of the nation's youth every single day. So what was the dividing line between a king like Jamshed and a tyrant like Zahak? Well, it all came down to this core concept called Fare-Izadi. You can think of it as the divine glory, this mystical light that was granted by God that basically signified a king's right to rule. A ruler held onto it as long as they were just and wise, but they could lose it through arrogance and cruelty, leaving the throne totally vulnerable. Next up, we enter the heart and soul of the entire epic, the heroic age. This is where the huge cosmic battles of gods and demons start to give way to the feuds of dynasties and the absolutely incredible feats of human champions. And if the heroic age has one defining figure, one main character, it is without a doubt the mighty Rostam. He is the ultimate Iranian hero, a warrior of superhuman strength, unwavering loyalty, and the protector of Iran's throne through the reigns of several different kings. Rostam's power wasn't just his own, though. He came from this legendary bloodline. His own father, Zal, was born with white hair and was cast out as a baby, only to be rescued and raised by the mythical Simorg, a wise, magical bird who basically became a guardian to Rostam's entire family. But for all his strength, Rostam's life is just marked by this profound tragedy, and the most heartbreaking story of all is the tale of Rostam and Sohrab, where our hero faces a powerful young warrior from an opposing army, completely unaware that this incredible foe is the son he has never even met. You know, the poem itself gives us this one detail that's both beautiful and absolutely gut-wrenching. Sohrab means illustrious or of a red glow, and it was a name given by his mother, Tahimane, in a moment of pure joy. It just captures this bright promise of a life that would be tragically cut short when father and son finally met as enemies on the battlefield. The epic's final section then brings us into what's known as the historical age. This is where the larger-than-life champions begin to fade into the background, and the whole narrative shifts to the clash of real-world empires, blending legend with recorded history. So you see the story pivot from these legendary dynasties to figures you might actually recognize from history class. A major turning point is the arrival of Alexander the Great, who's known in the poem as Iskandar. And after briefly covering the Parthians, the epic moves into a really detailed chronicle of the Sasanian dynasty. This final age is a really powerful and often somber account of the last pre-Islamic Persian Empire. It details the reigns of historical Sasanian kings, their triumphs, their failures, leading right up to the end of their dynasty with the Arab conquest of Persia, which is exactly where Ferdowsi's epic poem concludes. Okay, so we've journeyed through 3 epic ages. We've met kings, heroes, and tyrants. So we have to ask the big question. Why does this 1,000-year-old poem and its characters still matter so much today. Because ultimately, the Shahnameh is so much more than just a story. It's like the cultural DNA of the Persian-speaking world. It's this grand tapestry that weaves together a nation's myths, its history, and its values. And it explores these timeless questions of fate, justice, and heroism that are just as relevant today as they were a millennium ago. From the serpent-shouldered tyrant Zahak to the wise king Feridun, from the tragic strength of Rostam to the ambition of Eskandar, the Shahnameh offers a whole universe of stories. It's a world that has been explored for 1,000 years, and it's still waiting for you. So the only real question is, where will you begin?